l'Espagnol Rafael Nadal.
A 20th major for Rafa to draw even with Roger Federer.
Did not drop a set en route to title number 13 at Roland Garros, and he saved his best match for last.
Welcome back to TC Live. And look, even with that lopsided loss to Rafael Nadal in Paris, Novak Djokovic has a very, very good chance of comfortably passing Roger Federer on this list. The most weeks at ATP #1. If everything goes according to plan, as it will, he will pass him March 8th of this coming year. Nadal does have a remote chance of getting back to that #1 spot, but it's very unlikely as Novak Djokovic has established such a cushion in the rankings. And if he continues to coast and just eat up the weeks as he is, he will eventually overtake Roger Federer for another record. No Eagle, Chandler Rubin, Nico Pereira back with you here on Tennis Channel. This is honestly a pretty incredible accomplishment when you really put things into perspective. Novak approaches Federer's record. He has now said that he wants to adjust his schedule to maximize his opportunity to continue to eat up points. Here's what he had to say earlier about how he's kind of navigating through everything. He's definitely out of Paris. He said, I won't be playing because I can't win any new points. That's why I'm going to Vienna, and that's why I'm going to London, and that is through Sasha Ozmo, who is right there on the scoop consistently. So, Nico, this is all part of that big three, so to speak, conversations, the greatest of all time, which we could get into, and we could probably go on for hours and hours at a time. But what does this mean for Novak Djokovic to overtake a record of this magnitude?
Well, you have to consider that we're going through the pandemic ranking as well, that the results from last year are going to be counting all going through next year, and that is an ongoing conversation. I think it's well-deserved. These guys won it all and won it in great manner, and I think he's gaining fans as we speak. Novak Djokovic, of course, came after Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer. But if you talk to the youngsters in the schools nowadays, they're talking about Novak Djokovic because he's been the one lifting the most trophies of late. And that is something that is going to pay off. As much as he would like it to be now, he has to understand that he came after Rafa and Roger. But this guy is awesome.
Yeah, fair point.
I mean, it's been an incredible year for Novak Djokovic when you think about it. Obviously, a lot of months where players weren't playing, but he had put himself in such good position. And because of the adjustments that have had to be made because of tournaments staying on, not wanting players to feel obligated to play during this uncertainty. As we look at this graphic of the ups and downs, started the year winning the Australian Open, ATP Cup, Dubai. Things kind of fell apart around the Adria Tour and with COVID. And we know the story around the U.S. Open and Roland Garros as well, that tough loss in the final. But even with all that, he has put himself head and shoulders above everyone else. And it's for that reason that he has this tremendous opportunity. You could say maybe a little bit of an asterisk beside it because of the pandemic. But in terms of playing and in terms of being head and shoulders above week in and week out, it certainly has been Novak Djokovic.
I just give more credit to the people that have done well through the pandemic. But regarding that tweet, he says, I'm not playing Bercy because I already made the points. Well, you have to consider the fact that Novak Djokovic has played a lot of tennis after the pandemic because he's been winning a lot. So he has to watch out. He has to be careful. And he does well, in my book, to skip Paris, just play Vienna and the ATP finals.
So we've talked about it a lot, how impressive this year has been for Novak Djokovic, given all of those outside circumstances, the Adria Tour and then the DQ at the U.S. Open, the ability to come back and dominate again in his next couple of tournaments, and then making it all the way to the final where you run into the king of clay. There's only so much you can do. I know you mentioned it, Chanda, but I am curious. A lot of people like to have these conversations of jockeying for position between these three. With the pandemic and the rankings and how everything's been affected the last 2 years, basically, where it's going to be 22 months counting totality. Do you think people will take that into account when kind of jockeying the positions between the three?
I think at the end of the day, no. I mean, it's about, who was in that position, who played to put themselves in that space. And Djokovic certainly has done that. You look at, he's had 2 losses this year, one was that really a loss? It was, default. Does that count or not? I mean, on paper it does, but in people's minds, not maybe so much. But that loss against Rafa, that was comprehensive. But still, with that being said, he has been the player to beat. He has been the guy who's had the target on his back all year. And, everybody has the opportunity to take advantage of what's being allowed because of the pandemic. It's been tough. Players have had to adjust. And you can argue that Novak Djokovic overall has done the best job adjusting, even with the couple of unfortunate incidents that have happened.
Well, this is a guy who came between Federer and Nadal. This is a guy who's about to break the records, could end up breaking all of their records. So the tougher it gets, the tougher this guy is, and you can't take that away from the world's number one.
The answer to all these questions is the same answer to how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. The world may never know. However, for now, we will go to the social net coming up in just a minute. Who traded their tennis sneakers in for roller skates? You're going to have to come back and find out.